sometimes the universe surprises us and makes a great big door of open opportunity and puts it right in front of us with our name on it and says, "This is for you. Come right on through. It's now or never." So, in 1995, my family and I left our comfortable, urban, professional lives in Minneapolis to follow a wild back-to-the-land dream and move to an abandoned tobacco farm in Randolph County, North Carolina, to start a goat cheese dairy. The truth is, my wife and I are just old tree huggers from the 60s. Save a farm, save the planet. We couldn't resist. So we got there, and there was so much to do when we arrived, and so it was time to hand out the jobs. And so my wife, she's a very clever woman, she said to me, "You're the one who's been such a good marriage and family therapist. You are good at helping couples get it together. You should be in charge of our first breeding season." Hedging a bit, I said, "What's a breeding season?" Reaching for our brand new copy of How to Raise Goats for Fun and Profit, she handed it to me and said, "Figure it out." So now I'm a farmer and I'm in the South, so get her done, right? Get her done. So we had the mama goats, the does, but we needed a buck, the daddy goat. And so I found one. And this buck, he was good for the job. He had a great reputation. He came from a family of good genetics that would produce a lot of milk. And then his name was Double Bonus. I thought, what great marketing, Double Bonus. Get a lot of bang for your buck. Right? So I was really interested, and the price was right. Because it seems Double Bonus was kind of getting on in years, and they weren't quite sure he was man enough for the job, if you know what I mean. So the price was right. When, this worry about his age, I got to figuring up the goat to human years. He was exactly my age. Middle age. Neither one of us were young bucks anymore, right? So I had a soft spot for old Double Bonus from the beginning, and I got on the phone and I bought that goat sight unseen. Well, we went to his farm, and when we got there, I looked, and he was over there in the corner. And he was all hunched up and all wadded up over there. He was all forlorn and depressed. And I thought, oh man, this is my first big decision, and I've made a horrible mistake. But a deal's a deal, right? You got to take him. So I put him in the truck, take him to our farm. I'm thinking, oh, what am I going to find out? And when we got to our farm, and Double Bonus got a whiff of the perfume that our goat ladies were wearing, when I opened up the back of the truck, he just perked right up and he just stuck his neck just right up in the air, and he said, that's what he said. Look it up online. They say that. Well, now I was new to goat speak, but I just felt like he was saying, love is in the air. So there's no time like the present. So I found one of our eager goat ladies and took him down to the pen. And it wasn't long before I realized that Double Bonus and all of our beautiful goat ladies, they knew all the moves to the graceful goat dating dance. Now, let me describe it to you. There's a lot of round and round. The doe goes around the buck, and then the buck goes around the doe, and then there's a lot of rub-a-dub-dub. You're familiar with rub-a-dub. There's a rub, there's some dub, and then there's one flirtatious flicking of tail, then a graceful balletic leap, and one little lunge, and boom, we are making babies. I'm thinking, piece of cake. We can do this thing. So Double Bonus and we just started working our way through the list of all the goats. I just brought him one beautiful goat lady after another, and then it hit me. Wow, I never dreamed I'd be doing this job, but pimping for a goat ain't that bad. So everything was going okay until one day I brought him a doe and we did the dance. He did his graceful leap, but when he went to do the little lunge, instead of sliding off all satisfied to the side, he just fell straight back flat on the ground, kerplop. All four legs up, straight in the air, his eyes going around in opposite circles in his head, just like in the cartoons, and his tongue was hanging out. I thought, I've killed him. I've killed him. The buck has bucked himself to death. Well, you call the vet. Vet comes out. He takes one look. He reaches down into his little black bag of magic, pulls out a syringe, gives that goat one shot. And mister, do you know, in 20 seconds, Double Bonus just hopped right back up, seemingly good as new. I said, Doc, it's a miracle. What'd you do? Vet says, well, I've seen it before. Old goat. Too much sex. Not enough food. Poor nutrition. Big seizure. Vitamin B shot will put him right every time. But son, you got to slow down. Well, so after several days of rest and relaxation and getting our mind off dancing, Double Bonus was feeling better and his nutrition was back up, and so we were ready to finish this breeding season. So we were walking down there to meet the next doe, and there was only one problem. Double Bonus, he didn't walk right straight. After that big seizure, he listed just a little bit to starboard. So when we did the dance and he did the leap, every time he went to do the little lunge, he was exactly 4 inches off target. It was then that I realized my new calling. Double Bonus needed me to be his wingman. So from then on, every time we did the dance, he did the leap, and I just got ready to work my way up into this choreography. And that doe turned around and looked at me, and it was like she was saying, when did this duet become a trio? But then, right when he made that little lunge, I just gave him one little bump and put him right back where he needed to be. So the next spring, Double Bonus and I celebrated, surrounded by 30 beautiful bouncing baby goats, all his kids. I scratched his furry head and I said, awesome job, old man. Double Bonus, he looked right at me and he said, which by then I knew meant couldn't have done it without you, pal. So, first job accomplished. Breeding season, check. Now we got all the babies, we got a lot of milk. And now they tell me I'm got the one that needs to go in the cheese room and learn how to make this milk into beautiful cheese. So I go in, it wasn't that hard at first. I started making the cheese, made 1 batch, 3 batches. I'm rolling along. This isn't too bad. This is okay. It tastes pretty good. Batch 5. We come to lucky batch number 7. And I'm ready to taste it. It's going to be good, just like all. And it's disgusting. And I'm like, what in the world happened? I don't understand. I made it the same way I made all the others. I have no idea what I did wrong. I'm so discouraged. This is just too hard. I just don't know. And then I remember, wait a minute. I know who will like this. So I quick put all that experimental, not very good cheese into the vat, and I go right out the dairy door, this big white container, and I look, and sure enough, there they all are lined up, the chickens and the pigs. They're all lined up, and I go and I dump all that cheese into the lot, and they just cluck, 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 snort, snort, snort. They gobble it all up like they were saying, son, you just make as much experimental cheese as you want because we love that stuff, and we're going to recycle it into bacon and eggs. Well, that gave me the courage to go back in and keep doing, and get better. So we got better. Now, next big challenge, we got to go to the farmer's market. Now, friends, this was 1995. So the farmer's market was kind of a new deal, right? And the local food movement, no, 1995. If you had said the term to me, local food movement, in 1995, I would have said, are you referring to a problem with your digestive system? There was no local food movement in 1995. So I set the table, got all the cheese. Right away, I discovered something. I had a photo album of all these beautiful double bonus babies, all these beautiful goat kids. I had this photo album, and people loved. They didn't at first care anything about the cheese, but they come to look at these. People love baby goats. And this was before goat yoga, ma'am. I know you're in goat yoga, but this was before that. And so they come. And so then the next thing I discovered is there's only two kinds of people in the world. Now, the first kind of person, luckily, came early in the day. They came up to the table, and they tasted the cheese. They go, oh, you made it on your farm. Good. They taste the cheese, they put it in their mouth, and they go, oh, my gosh, this is so good. Mary, come over here. You got to try it. It's Jane. Later, I knew her because she was the every week customer. She got her daughter. Mary tries it. Mary goes and gets somebody she doesn't even know from over here and brings them. Well, these people are gushers. There's gushers. Fortunately, there are exactly 93% of the people in the world are gushers. It's verifiable. I got the data. 93%. But there is another kind. Well, here comes this other guy. Drives up in this great big car. He's got fancy clothes on, $700 shoes. I think this guy's a banker or a lawyer. He's going to be a gusher. He's going to love my cheese. So he walks over to the table. Great big guy. What is this? Oh, this is goat cheese making on a farm around Up County. Would you like to try some? Goat cheese? Doesn't sound very appetizing to me. And I'm curious. You have to kill the goat to get the cheese out? Now, I imagine saying to that poor city gentleman, no, we just cut it off and it grows back. But I resisted that temptation. But that guy, of which there are 7%, are yuckers. And they just don't even like the idea about goat cheese. But there is a third kind that slips in there. And that happened next. So this guy's coming down the aisle. Now I'm thinking this guy's going to be a yucker too. He was wearing bib overalls, and they're dirty. And he's got a long pigtail that goes all the way down his back right to his bottom. And as he gets closer, I see he's got a big chaw put in his mouth. Big old chawbacca. So he comes up to my table, says, hey, son, I haven't seen you at the market before. What you got there? Well, this is my cheese I made myself. Would you like to? So go. He says, goat cheese, you say? That doesn't look like no cheese I've ever seen before. My cheese comes between two pieces of plastic or out of a can. But I might give it a try, but you just need to know I'm pretty particular about what I put in my mouth. Well, fortunately, he goes over and spits out the chaw, and he comes back, and I fix him basil and garlic, our very most popular one, puts it on, and give him to him the cracker. He puts it in his mouth. He swallows it. He doesn't say a word. He grabs the spreader from me. He gets the biggest cracker in the basket, and he puts a 3-inch layer of spreadable goat cheese on that cracker, stuffs it in his mouth, and he says, well, that's really, really good. Well, so that guy, his name is Roy, and Roy came every week to the farmer's market. So there's yuckers, and there's gushers, and there's yuckers, and then, joy of joys, a yucker you convert to be a gusher. Well, so fast forward 5 years forward. And I'm standing there, and it's early in the morning, and I'm thinking, I don't know, this has been so hard. You know, we've had good times and run out of money, and it's fun a lot, but I don't know, is it worth it? It's just so hard. Is it really worth it? And then I see coming down the way Michelle and her 6-year-old son, Little Tom. Now, Michelle and Little Tom have been coming all 6 years since we started. So they were coming when Little Tom was just a little bitty baby. They've been out to the farm. They visited the goats. They know their names. I've shown little Tom how we make the cheese. And Michelle stops at the farmer next to me, but little Tom comes on over, and he starts doing what he does every week, tasting his way through the cheese to decide what Connie's going to tell Mama he wants that week. And then little Tom notices, he's a little shy, little Tom. He notices that it's just him and me. And he stops the sampling. He looks up at me with these big, beautiful eyes. And he says, "Thank you, Farmer Steve, for making me such wonderful cheese." 10 words. 10 simple words. Changed me forever. Because you see, friends, little Tom had grown up in a world where he thought everybody knew their farmer and everybody had a cheesemaker, and we had helped create that world. Day by day, hardship by hardship, blood, sweat, and tears. It was as if the universe, through one little boy, said to me, "This is why you walked through the door, and this is how you made a difference." And that made it all worthwhile. Thank you.